Many students feel stuck in English. They want to speak fluently and understand conversations easily, but no matter how much they study, their English does not improve. Feeling stuck is very common and happens to almost every learner. One main reason is that students do not practice English every day. They may study for a day or two and then stop for many days. Irregular practice prevents the brain from learning effectively. आलेगी blindfold जो चाहे एक exercising a muscle. If you exercise one day and rest for a week, your muscles do not grow. Similarly, if you study English one day and stop for many days, your brain forgets the words, sentences, and pronunciation you learned. Many students focus only on grammar books and rules. They memorize tenses, sentence structures, and vocabulary, but they do not use English in speaking or listening. Grammar, but they do not use English in speaking or listening. Grammar, but using English regularly is even more important. But using English regularly is Many learners are afraid of making mistakes. They feel shy or think people laugh at them, so they do not speak at all. Mistakes are normal and help the brain learn faster. Some learners always think in their first language and then translate into English. This slows down speaking and makes it harder to communicate. Thinking directly in English makes speaking faster and easier. Listening is also very important. Many students focus only on reading or writing and do not listen to English enough. Without listening practice, English sounds fast and confusing, and learners cannot speak fluently. And learners cannot speak fluently. Lack of confidence is another reason students feel stuck. When learners feel they are not good enough, they avoid speaking, which blocks progress. Not using English in daily life is another problem. English is a skill, not just a subject. If you do not use it daily, your brain forgets it. Unrealistic expectations also create frustration. Many students want to speak perfectly in a short time, which is impossible. Learning a language is a slow journey that requires patience and regular practice. Comparing yourself with others can make you feel stuck too. Everyone learns at a different pace, and focusing on your own practice is more effective. Lack of motivation or clear goals can prevent progress. Without a reason to learn, practice becomes inconsistent and learners feel stuck. Feeling stuck in English is normal, but it can be overcome by practicing a little every day, thinking in English, listening regularly, speaking without fear, and staying patient. Consistency and small daily steps are the keys to improving English, gaining confidence, and making progress over time. The shadowing method is a simple but powerful technique for learning English that can help learners speak and understand English more naturally. Many students feel stuck in English because they study rules, memorize vocabulary, and read books, but they do not practice speaking and listening enough. The shadowing method focuses on listening and speaking together, which helps learners improve faster than traditional methods. It is called shadowing because the learner follows all shadows the speaker exactly as they speak, repeating what they hear at the same time without pause. This method helps us learning, speaking, and pronunciation practice in one activity, which makes learning faster and more effective. When learners use the shadowing method, they listen to short audio or video content in English and repeat the words immediately as they hear them. This forces the brain to process English quickly, and the mouth and tongue practice produce English sounds at the same time. This method helps learners develop fluency because they become used to speaking at the natural speed of English. The brain learns to recognize sentence patterns, pronunciation, intonation, and rhythm. Repeating the same sentences aloud also improves memory and makes the words feel familiar over time. Learners do not need to translate from their first language. Their brain starts to think in English naturally. One of the main advantages of the shadowing method is that it trains the brain to understand and produce English simultaneously. Many learners struggle because they listen to English and then pause to think about the words before speaking. This slows down speaking and makes learners feel stuck. The shadowing method removes this pause by training the brain to react quickly. By copying the speaker immediately, learners train their minds to process English in real time. This improves comprehension, speaking speed, and confidence. The method also helps with pronunciation. Many learners find it difficult to pronounce English sounds correctly. When learners shadow a native speaker, they hear the correct pronunciation and intonation and try to imitate it exactly. Repeating the same sentences aloud multiple times strengthens the muscles in the mouth, multiple times strengthens the muscles in the mouth, multiple times strengthens the muscles in the mouth, multiple times strengthens the. Try to imitate it exactly, repeating the same sentences aloud. Over time, learners begin to sound more natural and fluent. This also reduces fear of speaking because the learner becomes familiar with English patterns and sounds. Another important benefit of the shadowing method is that it improves listening skills. Listening to English repeatedly helps the brain recognize sounds, words, and sentence structures more quickly. Many learners find English fast and confusing at first. Shadowing requires careful listening and repeating, which trains the ear to catch words and phrases in real time. The more learners practice, the better they can understand spoken English in conversations, videos, or audios without relying on translation. The shadowing method is suitable for learners of all levels. Beginners can start with simple audio or slow content, such as short dialogues, simple sentences, or children's stories. Intermediate learners can use podcast videos or songs that are slightly more challenging. Advanced learners can shadow long speeches, news, or interviews. The method can be adapted to any level because the key principle is the same. Listen carefully and repeat at the same time. Practicing the shadowing method consistently is very important. Daily repetition is better than long study sessions once a week. Even practicing for 5 to 10 minutes every day is very effective. The goal is to train the brain and mouth gradually. Small daily practice builds habit, fluency, and confidences. Over time, learners notice that speaking English becomes easier. Listening comprehension improves and the fear of making mistakes decreases. The shadowing method is also useful for learning new vocabulary and sentence patterns naturally. When learners shadow English audio, they hear new words in context. They automatically learn how words are used in sentences, how they sound, and how they fit in conversation. This is much more effective than memorizing word lists because the brain remembers words better when they are heard and spoken in context. Repeating sentences loud strengthens memory and recall. Many successful learners and language experts recommend the shadowing method because it mimics the way children learn their first language. Children hear words, repeat them, and gradually produce language without focusing on grammar rules. Similarly, the shadowing method trains learners to use English naturally by listening and speaking together. Over time, learners develop fluency, pronunciation, rhythm, and confidence in using English. The shadowing method also reduces the feeling of being stuck in English. Many learners feel they know English but cannot speak it smoothly. Shadowing solves this problem because it connects listening and speaking, helping learners use what they know immediately. It also helps learners stay motivated because they can see small improvements quickly. Practicing short audios daily and repeating them aloud creates a sense of achievement and builds confidence gradually. Consistency, patience, and proper selection of content are key for the shadowing method. Learners should start with content that is slightly easy for them so that they can repeat sentences without frustration. Gradually, they can increase the difficulty. Repeating the same sentences 2 or 3 times a day is more effective than moving to new content too quickly. Over time, learners notice better fluency, faster thinking in English, improved pronunciation, and increased confidence in speaking in English, improved pronunciation, and increased confidence in speaking Basmati Sandhi. In summary, the shadowing method is a practical, simple, and highly effective technique for learning English. It helps learners connect listening and speaking, improves pronunciation method, and trains the brain to process English naturally. Practicing consistently with short audio or video content every day gradually removes the feeling of being stuck and helps learners speak English fluently and comfortably. The method works for beginners, intermediate, and advanced learners and can be adapted to any type of content. By practicing the shadowing method every day, learners develop better listening skills, natural pronunciation, faster thinking in English, and the ability to speak with confidence and ease. The shadowing method is one of the most effective ways to improve English because it helps learners in many areas at the same time. Many students feel stuck because they study English but cannot speak confidently, cannot understand fast speech, or cannot pronounce words correctly. The shadowing method solves these problems because it combines listening, speaking, and thinking in English in one practice. It is called shadowing because the learner follows the speaker closely, repeating the words immediately as they hear them. This method trains the brain to process English quickly, the mouth to produce English sounds naturally, and the ears to recognize English rhythm, pronunciation, and sentence patterns. One major way the shadowing method helps is by improving listening skills. Listening is a key part of learning the language, but many learners struggle with it because English sounds fast and unfamiliar. When learners practice shadowing, they listen carefully to the audio and repeat at the same time. This repetition trains the ears to recognize words and sentences without needing to translate them from another language. The more learners practice listening with shadowing, the easier it becomes to understand the spoken English in real life, whether in conversations, videos, or songs. Over time, learners develop the ability to understand English naturally and quickly, which is essential for fluency. The shadowing method also improves speaking skills. Many learners know English grammar and vocabulary but cannot speak smoothly. Speaking requires both the brain and the mouth to work together. When learners shadow, they are speaking while listening, which helps the brain and mouth coordinate. This trains the mouth muscles to pronounce English sounds correctly and automatically. It also helps learners produce sentences faster because the brain learns to form English sentences while hearing them instead of pausing to translate previous language. Regular practice with shadowing makes speaking feel more natural, fluent, and confident. Pronunciation is another area where shadowing helps significantly. Many learners struggle with sounds in English because they are different from their native language. The shadowing method allows learners to hear correct pronunciation repeatedly and imitate it immediately. Over time, this builds vast muscle memory in the mouth and tongue, making it easier to produce English sounds accurately. Learners also become familiar with intonation and stress patterns in sentences, which makes their English sound more natural. Improved pronunciation increases confidence because learners feel that others can understand them clearly. The method also helps learners think in English. Many learners first think in their own language and then translate into English, which slows down speaking and makes it difficult to communicate. Shadowing trains the brain to process English directly. By listening and repeating at the same time, the learner's brain starts to recognize sentence patterns, word order, and phrases naturally. This direct thinking in English allows learners to speak faster, respond quickly in conversations, and feel more confident using the language. Thinking directly in English is an essential step toward fluency, and shadowing makes this process easier and faster. Another way shadowing helps is by improving fluency and rhythm. English has a natural rhythm and flow that learners often find difficult. Shadowing teaches learners to copy the speed, pauses, and intonation of native speakers. Um, Repeating sentences aloud at the same pace as the speaker trains the brain to follow natural patterns of speech. Over time, learners begin to speak with a similar rhythm, which makes their English sound fluent and natural. Practicing this consistently removes the feeling of hesitation and makes speaking more comfortable. Listening and repeating sentences repeatedly helps learners remember words, phrases, and structures without memorizing rules. When learners hear words in context and say them aloud, the brain remembers them better than when reading or memorizing lists. This makes vocabulary easier to recall and allows learners to use words and sentences naturally in conversation. The repetition and shadowing strengthens long term memory, which is essential for speaking and understanding English confidently. In addition, shadowing builds confidence. Many learners feel nervous because they are afraid of mistakes or feel unsure about their pronunciation. Shadowing provides a safe way to practice English aloud every day. The learner can repeat sentences as many times as needed and gradually becomes more comfortable with speaking. Regular practice reduces fear and creates a sense of achievement. Confidence grows steadily with daily shadowing, and learners feel more willing to speak in real life situations. The shadowing method also helps learners notice patterns and grammar naturally. When learners repeat sentences, they unconsciously observe how sentences are formed, how tenses are used, and how words are connected. This means that grammar learning happens naturally without explicit study. Learners start producing correct sentences automatically, which reduces mistakes and improves accuracy. Learning grammar in context while speaking is more effective than studying rules separating than studying many usage. Another benefit of shadowing is that it improves concentration. To shadow effectively, learners must listen carefully, pay attention to each word, and repeat it immediately. This practice trains focus and attention, which are essential skills for learning any language. Over time, learners become more attentive and can process English faster. Concentration developed through shadowing also helps in understanding conversations, following instructions, and learning from audio or video content more efficiently. Shadowing also helps learners adapt to different accents and styles of English. By listening to various speakers, learners become familiar with different pronunciation patterns, tones, and speeds. This exposure makes it easier to understand English from different regions and speakers. This exposure makes it easier to understand English from different regions and speakers. Over time, learners can recognize words and phrases even if they are spoken differently, which increases comprehension and confidence in real life situations. Consistency is very important in shadowing. Practicing regularly, even for a few minutes every day, produces better results than long sessions irregularly. The brain and mouth need repeated exposure to English sounds, patterns. Fall daily shadowing sessions gradually improve listening, speaking, pronunciation, rhythm, memory, confidence, and fluency. In conclusion, the shadowing method helps learners in multiple ways at once. It improves listening skills, speaking skills, pronunciation, fluency, rhythm, memory, confidence, grammar, understanding, concentration, and comprehension of different accents. By practicing every day, learners train their brain and mouth to work together, think directly in English, and speak naturally. The method reduces hesitation and fear, making English easier and more enjoyable to use. Shadowing is a simple, practical, and highly effective way to overcome obstacles in learning English and to achieve fluency step by step. A regular practice of the shadowing method can transform a learner's English, making speaking, understanding, and thinking in English much easier over time. The shadowing method is one of the most effective techniques for learning English, but its benefits depend on how learners practice it. Practicing the shadowing method correctly requires understanding acceptance, following them consistently every day. The main idea of the method is to listen to English and repeat it immediately as you hear it, copying the speed, pronunciation, and rhythm of the speaker. This practice trains your brain to process English quickly, improves your speaking, listening, and pronunciation, and gradually builds confidence and fluency. Many learners do not practice effectively because they focus only on reading, writing, or memorizing grammar rules. Shadowing focuses on real usage, helping learners bridge the gap between knowing English and using it naturally. To begin practicing, learners should select audio or video content in English. It is important to choose content that is slightly easy, not too difficult. The content should be clear, short, and understandable so that the learner can listen carefully and repeat it without frustration. Beginners can start with simple sentences, dialogues, or slow speech, while intermediate and advanced learners can use podcast, news, speeches, or interviews. Listening to appropriate content ensures that learners can follow the speaker and repeat correctly, which is the foundation of effective shadowing. The first step is listening. Our learners should play the audio once and listen carefully to understand what is being said. This helps them become familiar with the words, pronunciation, and sentence structure. Listening without interruption is important to build a sense of the rhythm and flow of English. The learner should focus on understanding the general meaning, pronunciation, and pace of the speaker before attempting to speak along. The second step is repeating aloud. After listening, learners should play the audio again and speak along with the speaker at the same time. This requires concentration as the learner must follow the exact speed, tone, and pronunciation of the speaker. It is normal to make mistakes at first, but the goal is to keep speaking without pausing. Repeating sentences aloud strengthens the coherent thinking and speaking in English. The mouth and tongue gradually become accustomed to pronouncing Jane, Jal, naturally, it is important to repeat the same audio or video multiple times. Shadowing is not about finishing content quickly, but about practicing it repeatedly. Repetition allows the brain to memorize words, phrases, and sentence patterns. When learners hear and repeat the same sentences several times, they start to recognize words instantly, produce correct pronunciation, and speak with the rhythm of a native speaker. Over time, learners notice that sentences become easier to repeat and understand without conscious effort. Daily practice is crucial. Practicing a few minutes every day is more effective than long sessions once or twice a week. Consistency helps the brain and mouth become comfortable with English sounds and structures. Even 5 to 10 minutes of shadowing daily can produce better results than long, irregular practice sessions. Daily repetition, strength,